I'm actually going to give it not slight favor, but I think it's going to be a very close game, whether it's 5-3 or 5-4 in overtime. I think High, I mean, with the addition of Feel My Potato and Romstar, the way those two play together, and then the way those two also kind of bring the team a little more coherently together, I definitely think High has what it takes to beat Deja Vu. However, I do think Deja Vu right now is showing that they are going to be a top team to contend with in the next round robin. It's going to be tough. Either way, it's going to be a damn good fight. I can tell you that right now.
Yeah, definitely. And looking at it, one thing that I did notice is the two maps that High dropped rounds on their previous match day are two maps that made it into the maps tonight.
That is correct.
I won't reveal those maps. However,
it's a surprise.
And the thing is the two rounds they dropped were attacks, so kind of maybe suspected. However,
which is kind of odd if you think about it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, dropping attacks isn't unheard of, especially in one of the maps. Now, on the other one, it's definitely more of a defensive-sided map, so kind of raises an eyebrow a little bit.
All right. Well, that being said, let's get into our very first map of this battle, Team High versus Team Deja Vu.
Ghost Town. The first absolutely symmetrical map, made especially for 7 versus 7 games. The teams start the battle on opposite sides. There are numerous ways to attack here. One of the bases is located in the central square, the other one at the top of the city. The hardest battles are usually fought for the top base, and this calls for the use of heavy tanks. Sometimes the teams choose fast tanks for spotting and base capturing.
And here we go, ladies and gentlemen, the very first battle of the night. It's going to be Team High versus Team Deja Vu. Team High bringing 2 T57s, an AMX-50B, a T10, a 215B, two T10s, and the Batshat.
Meanwhile, Deja Vu bringing an RU-251, a Batshat 250Bs, a 113, and 2 215Bs. So with High bringing these 2 T10s, it kind of asks, what are they going to do?
I want to point out, by the way, really slick camo as Romstar there takes a little bit of damage from a shot. It was a nice snap. I actually didn't even see who that was from.
Yeah, and so bringing these 2 T10s...
that's clean. Sorry, I'm just looking at the camo. Please excuse me. I like the white. You know white's my favorite color, James.
Yeah, white on a desert map. Not necessarily the most logical, but gets the job done.
Definitely not, but still.
Looks cool, so you get points for that.
So anyways, please, I cut you off from your thought there.
So bringing those 2 T10s, they're bringing extra HP and a harder-hitting gun than Deja Vu are bringing right now. So you're going to have to keep an eye.
Very early cap pressure here from Team High as DRS is going to take 2 shots of damage there. 883 hit points gone already, sitting at about half now. As Blue Mini still in that other T10 trying to angle, and it looks like he's going to be simping a little bit here for DRS, but resets are going to go off, and this is actually a very bad situation. DRS should be backing off in just a moment here as Blue Mini is still going to stay on the cap and put a little pressure on.
So the very thing that I was just talking about, so far not paying off for High, losing a lot of HP onto those T10s. The thing is right now is they're really hoping that this cap pressure is what's going to make Deja Vu adjust. And
we see Chase, though, off in the distance there. He is going to be going on that solo climb spot that we see so often here at Alpha 1. And so he's going to be looking for those reset shots. DRS very close to going down here. And Blue Mini, though, is quite healthy. So we'll see as Ali the Persian Dude is also setting up the T57 Heavy for the crossfire to potentially punish anyone that's going to be pushing these 2 T10s.
Yeah, absolutely. And now the cap pressure is getting built up here. RE251 trying to find some shots, just missing on those T10s.
See, the problem here, though, for me, James, is once they do get reset, it's just not a great position for those 2 T10s. And in fact, one of them, the take of DRS actually might go down for that trade.
And with DRS already being that low, if you notice, they keep firing those HE shots to get the resets. The thing is besides just getting resets, he's low enough that those HE shells could kill him pretty
Absolutely.
quickly.
It's a dangerous proposition, and he is going to back off, but relentless, he's going to go in. Blue Mini, though, meanwhile, taking quite a bit of damage from that shot.
And slowly, High just throwing away those 2 T10s, trying to force that cap pressure.
I don't like that. I really don't.
So maybe taking too long to give up on it and move to plan B, and then that raises the question, do they have a plan B?
I don't know. That's, again, this is the problem for me is if they are going to do this strat and they are going to sit on that 1 cap, then they need to have the other tanks of High really come out and put some aggression onto the team of Deja Vu so they can actually get some cap pressure in there.
But meanwhile, Social Flaws does
Chris, nice shot on the Social Flaws.
the T-57s for High pushed around that corner and did catch out a tank, and they have even this series up a little bit on HP.
Now Mini, though, dangerously close to being taken out. I'm sorry, every time. Oh, but Chase Potato taking out DRS, and we said that was going to happen. He was getting very low, and he was trying to put that cap pressure. Now, here's the big issue. Blue Mini almost out of hit points completely in that T10. He's the only one putting cap pressure. And in fact, all these tanks here, Feel My Potato, Magenta Panda, and Fulcris, very low. As Dergil now pushes over, he's going to take shots on to Feel My Potato. Magenta Panda is still going to take down a tank, but wait a second. Harmless now goes down to Ali the Persian dude. Beautiful flank as he comes in to clean up Dergil. This strat is actually working.
They are down on HP, and now guns are even. Guns now down. Guns
Oh, never
down.
mind. Now Ali the Persian dude was in a perfect position to take out Dergil, but he is reloading, unfortunately.
Chase Potato's still up on that hill, still able to get shots off.
Ali the Persian dude didn't. That strategy actually seemed to really work, as Fulcris as well as Romstar were really in the mix of things there. They were getting shots off, sure they were going down, but Ali the Persian dude actually came around that corner and cleaned up two tanks very quickly, unfortunately.
Yep. So a very clever laid out defense for Deja Vu. Essentially what happened is they knew that those first couple tanks were kind of vulnerable, and so when High pushed in, yes, those first tanks dropped. However, they made sure that they traded it out. The tanks behind them got the tanks that were pushing, and it left them in a pretty good spot going forward. And my biggest complaint about what High did was just they wasted almost, 4,000 HP with those two T10s on cap to get that cap pressure going, and they never really even got close. I don't think the cap timer ever got below 30 seconds, which...
Nope. I think the closest it was 45 or 40 seconds, but it never got below 30. So
yeah, that's just something to keep an eye on. If you're going to run a strat like that, you need to make sure that that the team is really going to have to focus on those resets. Now, the thing is that I feel that Deja Vu kind of overplayed their hand a little bit. They got all the tanks in position to start resetting and chipping away at them, and that's when High made that play to get those tanks down. They understood where they were.
And it was a good play, and it worked.
Yeah, it worked for the first part, but then once those autoloaders ran out and the second line tanks for Deja Vu were able to get in there, they were really able to put up some damage. And that's just seen right here. Malaputin, who's one of those tanks, off in the backfield in that 50B, putting up 3,200. Nationwide in that bat chat, lurking around in the south at another 2,900. So just, it's good position overall for them to get position to get the damage out.
For me, before we go into the rest of this damage, it was just High. I like what they were doing had they actually supported those two T10s, which they did not.
Yeah, well, it was not necessarily even that they... I won't say they didn't support them, but they didn't really. I don't feel the strat really takes account for those T10s being reset, because when they get reset that early, that there is no reason for Deja Vu to rotate.
I see that. Anyway, sorry. Rounding out the rest of the damage is going to be Social Flaws, the 215B doing 1,400, and then Fulcris and almost the rest of High, Magenta Panda, Romstar, and DRS. Those tanks that were DRS in the T10, but Magenta Panda as well as Romstar were kind of sitting right at the corner of that cap, and they got overrun. So unfortunately, Ali the Persian dude, who did come in and try to clean it up, and he did a little bit. It was too late, and I don't know if it was maybe a little too much patience and reserve there for High, but they needed to make something a little more explosive happen.
Yeah, and there are better options, different tanks to put on the cap. We've seen the 416 used a bit because it's a good low-profile tank. The AMX 1390 a little bit, and
right, the 1390 we've seen.
So, but they
quite a lot on this.
When you bring two T10s like that, I don't see them as being cap bait tanks, even if it is just one, but they put both of them there. So those two guns. That's the other thing to keep an eye on. That's two guns almost out of the fight. They don't have return shots really because they're so low on the ground. And those tanks, just the angles they're playing.
Those tanks were lit as well.
They were spotted. They were spotted, but they just don't have good return shots from there because their guns are so low in that little dip. They have to pull up even further.
Was Chase spotted all the way in the? I don't think.
Chase was not spotted in the back,
wasn't
but
spotted.
the rest of the guns for Deja Vu.
Well, Dergil pushed forward and then was spotted,
yep.
But yeah, I don't know. I just didn't like that.
Well, and it's it's two guns out of the fight, and all of a sudden it's just kind of neutralizing the extra HP and gun advantage that you brought by bringing those two T9s.
Correct. Well, we'll have to see how they adjust as High is now on defense and Deja Vu is left attacking.
Yep, and some interesting lineups coming out of both teams here. However, both teams, oddly enough, switching between the Tier 8 and Tier 9.
So talk to me a little bit about the 111. What I've never seen that.
The WZ111, it is a Tier 9 Chinese heavy tank that leads up to the 113. Not quite as good as the 113 DPMs, not as good. However, it is pretty mobile, a pretty mobile heavy tank, and it moves pretty well.
So why would they bring that as opposed to maybe
It's a solid tier 9 heavy if you're going for that, and they wanted to bring the Batchat tier 9, which Wally Whiff is in. And looking at the lineups, 215B, 2 113s, 250Bs, a Batchat, and RU 251 for high. Meanwhile, looking over at Deja Vu, a 113, an I7, 250Bs, a Batchat, a WZ, and then the tier 9 Batchat. So the WZ is a solid tier 9 heavy. The other ones that we see not super often but still get used, we saw the T10s last round. I'm also personally a fan of the Conquer, the tier 9 leading up to the 215B. Pretty good DPM, great turret. Not as quick as the
I actually like that tank
tanks,
as well.
but
the tank is fun to use.
it has the same relative. I won't say the exact same gun as the 215B, but it has a pretty powerful gun that's relatively accurate. So it's a solid choice for tier 9. We don't see it used often enough, in my opinion, especially on a map like this. Where
I
it's
like
just
this
been
little
raw.
spot that Wally finds himself in that Batchat.
And the other thing to keep an eye on right now
Triangled.
is if that RU-251 pushes off by himself, not supported, and he comes across one of these tier 9s, he's going to lose. So, the Batchat AP is going to clean an RU-251 off the field without too much contention.
It's almost like sweeping him under the rug.
Exactly. And it has 1800 alpha in the clip, so it would only take essentially 4 shots to get him down instead of the whole clip, and so he can just drive away. And even if he has room for error. That's the biggest thing, is when a team brings a 1390, if they miss one shot, chances are that RU will win that 1v1. When you bring the Batchat AP, he has extra HP, he has extra shells in his clip to get the job done, so even if he misses, it just increases his chance of getting RU-251 down. As we say that, Social Flaw is taking a shot of damage.
Trade there, though. Social Flaw is taking damage from Romstar and immediately getting a flick off himself onto the tank, as Wally Whiff is now starting to slowly come around that corner, and we'll see if he is going to put any pressure on those two.
Another thing to keep an eye on is High have left DRS up in the north pretty much completely by himself, unsupported from the rest of the team. The closest tanks he has are these 2 tanks of Magenta Panda and Fulcrus right here working in the middle. And the 50Bs are actually choosing in this moment to make the push down around south.
Shots on a Deja now. Magenta Panda is going to peek over as well in the 215B and get a shot off in just a second. There it is. So quite a lot of damage already on Deja in that 50B, and that is an autoloader, so he is going to be stuck when he empties his clip. Meanwhile, Chase Potato taking a lot of damage from Feel My Potato and Ali the Persian Dude, but they are also getting trades and damage, which is why they're getting out, but Wally Whiff does not let Ali the Persian Dude out. Meanwhile, DRS in the 113 is going to take out Deja in the 50B autoloader, and Chase should go down here in just a moment as soon as Blue Mini can take the shot. Oh, no! Luckily, Robstar, though, there to clean it up in the Batchat. Was that a bounce, or did he just miss?
Oh, he hit the back plate and just bounced. I think he hit either the gun mallet or he just hit the top of the engine deck at a very odd angle. And, best battle buddy for this round at least goes to Romstar.
Yeah, absolutely. Saving him there. Well, not really saving him, but definitely saving that kill on the tank.
It would have been a tight shot for to land on Blue Mini there as he backed out, but I think he would have got it.
DRS trying to get shots. Unfortunately, multiple angles here as he's going to go down in just a second. My Little Putin, as well as Harmless in that IS-7. And that IS-7 is so difficult because of the front plates and armor to get dug out once it's
unlike many of the other heavy tanks, it doesn't have any weak spots really in the gun mallet.
Doesn't.
The easiest way to reset it is shooting the gun actually and trying to damage the gun. Any damaged modules will reset a tank, and so if you can
taking out Blue Mini in the Batchat, but please continue.
If you can hit an HE shell into that gun mallet, you can get the reset that way. And you will frustrate the other person if their gun keeps getting damaged or destroyed, especially after the first time.
Slight tank advantage here, or gun advantage in favor of High, but Deja Vu still has a very healthy Tier 9 Batchat as well as a Tier 10 Batchat. My Little Putin, however, is suffering quite a bit. Meanwhile, High has 1 tank that's not in... 2 tanks that aren't in one-shot range, and that is going to be Magenta Panda, the 215B, and Fulcrus in that 113, but Fulcrus is easily a 2-shot. Feel My Potato, you could argue, is 1 low roll away from actually staying alive, but not likely. And of course, low roll...
Deja Vu could even this matchup relatively quickly. DRS, Romstar both, less than 100 HP, and then even that, Feel My Potato on 365. So even, a low roll out of a Batchat should still finish him off.
And of course, everyone watching, you hear us say low roll or high roll a lot, and that's realistically, that's just the range of which the damage or the shell can do as far as the damage
Can
goes.
fluctuate. There's a 25% RNG on almost everything in this game, and that includes damage and penetration rolls. So when, say a Bat Chat has 300 and 90 alpha in a shot, it can roll 25% either way. So, it could go down as low, theoretically, as 290-something. So there is a little bit of room for Feel My Potato.
But
however,
again,
it could also go as high on the other end all the way up to around 480. So
and it'll destroy him immediately. So and that's something I didn't know when I first started. I was like, wait, why are my shells not doing the damage I want them to do?
Yep, and the RNG can be a bit more frustrating, especially for the players with the shell accuracy, because it can go so many different angles in the reticle, and even some of the more accurate guns. Shells just kind of go off to the side of the reticle, and it's just enough to either miss your tank or hit the track instead of,
or
the soft spot on the side.
Cruising on the field. It's a lovely warm summer day, and an SPG high rolls you, and you're dead.
Yeah, definitely. That's also can be quite frustrating.
It's very unfortunate.
So just something you got to keep in mind whenever you do any of these engagements. You have to keep an eye. How many shots is it going to take me to kill him? What are the chances that I low roll or high roll? And sometimes, high roll will save somebody. Sometimes it'll lose them around if they low roll. And so there's just something you have to keep in mind.
Right. Tanks is more of a math game that people give credit to.
Well, it's on a lot of different levels, and not just in RNG. Also in calling and determining these battles, it's being able to recognize where tanks are and being able to just do simple math on the fly. And that's what calling can be at its most basic level. Where do I have more guns? Where can I force the advantage? And so it's just a matter of, all right, well, they have 3 tanks here. I have 6 tanks. All right, let's utilize that advantage.
That's
the extra guns.
Correct.
Yeah, it's an overmatch. And that's something that I'd really encourage, especially new callers, to really focus on. Don't even worry about how the map is laid out necessarily, or just little things like that. But just focus on making sure that you keep guns together, and that when you're presented with an overmatch, making sure you recognize it and capitalize on it.
Absolutely. Meanwhile, Wally Whiff and Nationwide are actually starting to make a play towards that 1 cap there at B6. That postcode is about to be lit up as these tanks are going to slowly roll in. They should be spotted here any moment by that 113. DRS still sitting on the cap. And there it is. Wally Whiff needs to get that shot off. He does. Romstar, though, in the very back, trying to make something happen, but Nationwide taking out Feel My Potato here. This is very doable for Deja Vu, although it's going to be very tough as Fulcris and Magenta Panda still have quite a bit of HP to work with. And there goes the Wally Whiff, and now all chances of that are dashed. And High is going to take their first battle. Tied up 1-1.
Clever play out of Deja Vu. They recognized that there was an opportunity, and a lot of those guns were at low HP, and they tried to get the cleanups. However, great positioning out of Romstar. Really left Wally with nowhere to go between that 215B off on the side. The Batchat in front, he couldn't really go forward because Batchat would have him clean out in the open, and if he stayed there, that 215 had clean side shots on him. So.
Well, I mean, they did a really good job, Deja Vu, coming in to try to cling back into that as they took out 2 tanks immediately, Nationwide and Romstar, but
They bled so much HP, especially off Wally. He had a majority of their HP, full health, and when he pushed around, that first volley he ate was, 900 HP just gone, and from then, Romstar put a couple shots into him, Magenta Panda put a couple shots into him.
Romstar put a stop to that, and again, Nationwide had just taken out a tank, and Nationwide had also taken out a tank. I believe that's what I just said, but either way, there was 2 tanks down.
Nationwide and Wally.
Yeah. Excuse me, Nationwide and Wally. Thank you.
Yep.
Just had a little bit of a brain fart there.
They evened it up.
They had a chance.
Just not enough. And looking at the damage here, my little Putin, for the second time tonight, just putting up massive amount of damage in that 50B. However, his team came out second best. Magenta Panda putting up 3,400. Feel My Potato doing 2,500. So pretty consistent damage out of them. And Ramber
Feel My Potato has been, again, ever since he's been brought into this lineup of High, he's been so consistent.
No, absolutely. And he's, really helped them become, that much more consistent.
And Ali the Persian dude, actually, someone surprisingly who usually puts up high alpha, was fairly low.
Yeah, only putting up 1,400 over 4 shots, so the 50B got off 1 clip before he got evaporated and couldn't really do anything. And that's something that is really important when playing an auto loader at any type, is you need to make sure that you at least get off through your first clip and then get into your second clip. Once you've gotten into that second clip, then it becomes... You've done your work, essentially, at that point. When you get 1 clip off, if you roll average 1,600, which isn't enough to actually kill a single tank or, do your own HP worth of damage, which is something that a lot of these teams are going to look at, is, this guy needs to do at least his amount of HP and damage back to their team, and then anything past that is work done for his team. And so when you have a 50B get in 1 clip, especially when it's kind of that first push, That's not really super effective. It's when they can get reloaded and get into that second clip or even a third clip, as we often see. That's when those 50Bs become really effective.
And that's the risk of playing an autoloader. It really is, because sometimes you'll do a lot of alpha, sometimes you'll help take down maybe 1 to 2 tanks, and then you're safe and you have that extra time to reload. But oftentimes you're caught in a bad situation, you empty your clip, you don't take out a tank, and all of a sudden you find yourself overmatched.
And it's not even just getting through the first clip, but it's making sure that first clip connects and
every
does
shot
damage.
counts. Correct.
And so, because the second you do, one less shot, that's all of a sudden you only have 3 shots left, and say a tank is, 1,600 HP. All of a sudden you can't kill him anymore.
No way you can take him out.
And he has that consistent fire to stay on you. So it's just a matter of making sure that they stay up with that and that they're able to keep on him.
Right.
But just, clip management and autoloaders is just so important, and a lot of people really don't understand it. They sit there, I have to fire all 4 shots right now or something like that, and it gets them into trouble.
I definitely can be one of those players sometimes. But let's go ahead into the second map between High and Deja Vu.
Himmelsdorf, a small city map. The teams start the battle in opposite corners. Both bases are located close to each other, but in a way that you can't stay on the defensive all the time. The main attack routes pass through the hill, the alley and the railroad, but in general, the attack can be successfully executed through any part of the map. Heavy tanks and tank destroyers with powerful guns run the show here. However, a lot depends on the mobile light tanks.
Battle number 3, James.
Yeah, looking at the lineups here, a really interesting lineup out of Deja Vu, bringing the Tier 8 Oh-Ho, 2 T123s, 4005 Stage 2.
I know what that is
2
for.
50Bs, and a Batchat. Meanwhile, High bringing 2 15Bs, an IS-4, a 50B, a T123, a Batchat, and a 1390. Now, it's not all uncommon that we see a T123 out of a defensive team, which is what High have done. However, bringing 2 of them, plus the 4005 on offense, is rather interesting.
Yeah, that Oh-Ho can be a real pain in the butt, let me tell you.
Yep, and looking at it...
It's such a large, obnoxious tank. And that's why they bring it. That's exactly the reason they bring it.
Now, this could be, and to quote Deja Vu, this could be another one of those meme strats.
Yep, meme strat indeed.
Bringing this behemoth, once again, the only time we've seen it used, or any of the Japanese heavies used really this season, have been as essentially moving bunkers.
It was once, and it was on Ruinberg. At the 1 cap, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, up in the north, they tried to use it as a bunker for as 113 to hold down off of.
Just look at this thing. It's ridiculous. It's not a tank, it's a bus.
So they're moving the 4005 back to the rest of the team, and it looks like they're getting ready to push this 1-2 line where High are separated right now.
Oh, I didn't notice that snazzy little logo there. You like that? I like that. I really think I'm a fan. I'm sorry. I'm a fan. But I'm really interested to see where exactly they're setting up for a 1-cap take, which is very rare. Normally on Himmels, we always see teams kind of go down that 0 line, attack the A line, and then go for the 2-cap. But, James, this is not usually something we're used to seeing. And I really like seeing this variant strategy coming out of teams to really push and play an entire map for what it's worth instead of just, playing the same lines or postcodes every single battle.
Yeah, so looking at it here, what it looks like they're trying to do is they're trying to bring the Oh-Ho onto cap here, probably right here or next to the little building that's right there on cap, and then they'll put the E3's hull down off of it while the 50Bs have shots down this line, and they can stop these tanks from crossing this way. And then they'll use maybe either the 4005 or another one of the E3s to really force out this angle and make sure that any tanks back here are pushed back.
Which is also why Deja Vu has brought in so many autoloaders and while they're sitting on that 3-4 line so they can stop that cross.
Exactly. And so basically they're going to try to get the cap pressure. They're going to try, once again, they're going to try to make the offense or the defense become the attacking side. Now, with that being said, it does look like High are starting to shift their tanks over towards this 1-2 line, realizing this is the play coming out.
Oh, which is very great recognition from High as well as their caller Blue Mini.
And while we were going over that, Wally Whiff tried to cross, and he lost almost all his HP, down to 53 HP in that T123. Now, this Oh-Ho
already
is
very, very, very low is that tank of Wally Whiff in the E3, and that could be a pivotal tank. That's a pretty decent alpha tank there.
Yep, and the thing to keep an eye on is Harmless in this Batchat is going to push out here and challenge Romstar.
Yep, Romstar is going to take quite a bit of damage. Meanwhile, Harmless has not paid anything for the damage he's put on, finally taking shots, but there it is. He's going to take out Romstar Batchat to Batchat. And that was a very unfortunate but great play from Deja Vu to High.
Yep. Nationwide trying to get out here to help pin back this 50B. The OHO and the 4005 both moving up. Nationwide taking a couple shots to his side there from that T110E3. And the other thing to keep an eye on right now is these 215Bs for High have actually shifted into the train station where they can play the hold down rubble on that front right corner. And then back behind them, they have the other 215B holding that one line supporting that 50B.
Meanwhile, though, we see that Blue Mini is going to scout that 0 line, and once he realizes that there's nothing there, this could be a huge shift out of Team High.
So he'll have some good shots down here, try to get some resets. The biggest thing is they have to keep Feel My Potato alive. He's in a super vulnerable position where he could get crossfired out. Those 50Bs over on the 3 line could have some side shots on him, especially if these tank destroyers work up the 1 line.
We see exactly that 4005, which is a tank we've seen a few times, but not too often, but it is a very big gun.
Yep, 183 millimeter on it. And those Hess shells that it fires don't even have to penetrate to do damage. Very similar to the HE shells, which most tanks carry.
God help you if those things penetrate.
Yeah, 1800 alpha, and you need to keep in mind 25% RNG on 1800 if you want to do the math on that. You can high roll, you can one-shot a lot of the tanks in this game. And then even then, if you pen and you say you hit the ammo rack, for example, having that much alpha is going to increase your chance of just detonating it and just blowing the turret straight off.
There's no coming back from that.
But while many people know how frustrating it can be, it's also one of the best feelings when you fire a gun like that and you do detonate an ammo rack of, say, an IS-7 and just watch all 2100 HP of it. Just
absolutely
good night.
Feels good, man.
Yeah, you're just sitting there.
Feels good, man.
Yep. So Nationwide has crept up a little bit.
Feel My Potato, though, again, like I said, very vulnerable. He is one shot away from being taken out of this battle. Blue Mini is still scouting, though, and again, the problem here is I think the team of High already know exactly where Deja Vu is. The problem is they're losing tanks left and right, and the HP pool, although in their favor, it's a little bit more of a dire situation, in my opinion, for High here.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're both teams are trading relatively even after that Wally went down to the one-shotter. They've kept it pretty close. Every time that Deja Vu loses some damage, they get traded back from High, and or they trade back with High, excuse me.
A little more damage here coming out of Nationwide. This is actually quite a bit of a lead now in the HP pool for High.
Yeah, up by about 2K. And they're holding strong. They did a good job defending that one cap. The one cap has always been a bit harder to attack. The only saving grace is it has that little building right out in the middle of it. And it can... The little building right there off into the left, right next to the cap circle, you can normally side scrape a tank off of there. The problem is that there are just enough angles that you can't stay perfectly safe. I think it was during the Apex Deja Vu match. Deja Vu tried the 416 behind there, and it was the Doma that actually pushed down to that D3 corner.
Nice shot. Harmless taking out Blue Mini. Your scouting days are over, and now we see the 250Bs here from My Little Putin and Dergil moving forward down that 5 line, and they actually might spot Ali the Persian dude if they continue down.
Well, they'll spot him, but the thing is can he get into position fast enough? He is going to get turned around, and he's going to be very hard.
Once that IS-4 or IS-7, regardless of tank, once those things are hold down, it's very annoying to dig them out. And he is actually in position now, so this is a good situation here for Ali the Persian dude. And as you saw, he took no damage, and he knows that those autoloaders are actually out. He's going to use this opportunity to push forward. He might be able to fire off his shot, and there it is. He's going to tag My Little Putin there. Meanwhile, Wally Whiff taking out Feel My Potato, and DRS taking out Nationwide.
My Little Putin gets caught on the corner, and he gets set on fire. Takes out My Little Putin.
Full Chris, huge play there.
Just...
And that was really on Ali the Persian dude to count the shots and know that they were out, and he immediately started the chase. Harmless, though, is coming from behind in that bat shot. Unfortunately, he's going to get obliterated by Magenta Pen and the rest of Team High, and now very quickly, this has gone 100% in favor of High.
Well, and the thing there is, My Little Putin, he was... What a lot of players do is they point their gun towards the enemy team, even if it's behind them, and then they hold right click so the gun stays in place, and then they turn their camera around so they can see in front of them while they drive away. Either trying to set that up or just worried about the tanks coming around the corner, and he was staring at it. And he tried to turn left a little bit too soon, and because he wasn't looking where he's driving, he got his front track caught on the corner. Never text and
drive, kids.
Yeah, exactly. And so he took the shot into the back engine deck, and either not running a fire extinguisher in favor of rations or already being set on fire once, he just burned out, went down, and just extremely unlucky, and that just kind of sealed the deal. They were most likely out of it either way, but losing another gun like that just leaves Deja Vu in an almost irrecoverable position at this point.
I also just noticed, I didn't even see where that Oho died.
He was trying to push up the 2-line off camera, and the 215B of Magenta Panda just sat there and farmed him essentially, just shot after shot as he tried to push all the way up. And he's sitting there, just you could see he was trying to angle a little bit, but the Oho, the Tier 8, just doesn't have enough armor to really withstand a 215B and those APCR shells that it carries. Extremely high penetration, very accurate, is not hard to hit the weak spots. Those giant, what we like to call R2D2s on the front.
It actually does have R2D2s on the front.
So the little gun mantlets for the machine guns.
Right.
And they're just really easy to hit, and let alone just any flat armor.
Correct. So, yeah, went down, unfortunately.
Meanwhile, Social Flaw is repositioning, coming up on Magenta Panda.
I mean,
fires a shot and gets a pen for 700.
That's quite a lot of alpha there.
And Deja Vu trying to find a way to claw back into this.
The problem is, well, I mean, there's one problem. Fulk has taken out Dergil, but their tanks are so low on HP, and DRS has so much HP to work with.
Trade on trade.
So very well done by Team High. I do like the fact that Deja Vu tried something different as far as from what I've seen this season, but unfortunately, I mean, High was oddly prepared to deal with that.
Yeah, they shifted very well. They understood, and a lot of the time that's why so many teams focus on that other cap, because the other cap is harder to retake. So they set up so they aren't in that position where they need to retake it, and they can do it quickly. The one cap being as open as it is, only having a little bit of cover. A lot of teams they tend to favor their cap. Now we will see teams push down the one line so they don't have to retake it. It's one of those situations where they pick one cap. They say, all right, we're going to make sure that this one isn't challenged, and then we'll retake the other one. We see that a lot on steps. We see that a lot on Himmelsdorf.
Right.
And in this case, it was, they set up to defend the 2 cap over in the north, and when High pushed down in the south, they already had the rotations set up. They got into position. Ali the Persian dude just shut down that other cap. That was one of those things where they understood, all right, well, they're backing out. They can't do this one cap.
Right.
And so we're going to shift him over there ahead of time.
And again,
3,000 damage.
Ali the Persian dude not only doing 3,000 damage, but as well as that was such good recognition from him to know that My Little Putin and the other AMX 50B with him were out of shots.
Yep, and it wasn't even that they were completely out of shots, but they fired enough to where neither of them were in danger of dying. And so they knew to press. And meanwhile, Chase Potato and that Oho, little Tier 8, not able to do enough, only putting up 250 damage, which out of a Tier 8, you kind of expected, especially because I'm pretty sure what they wanted to do is they wanted to push him on the cap there and turn him sideways.
Exactly, and then use him as cover.
Use him as cover for the T110 E3. So if you cover the lower plate from a T110 E3 and you can only shoot its front armor, I don't want to say it's impenetrable, but pretty darn close.
It's almost impenetrable.
Yeah, there's some situations. They play really well in those windows where they can sit there, hold down. Unlike, say, an E4 and E5, the Coppola, the commander satchel that sits on top, not very easy to penetrate. And those E3s, they have a thicker Coppola in their tanks. And so when you sit it hold down, there are just no natural weak spots for it.
There's nowhere to really shoot that tank. It's very difficult to deal with. I've definitely had to deal with it. In fact, I believe last time we played, it was you, myself, and I think it was Blue Mini. And there was an E3, and I was like, dude, where the hell do I shoot this thing? And you're like, well, is it facing you? And I was like, yeah. I would just move.
Just don't.
Just get out of the way. I was like, okay.
And that's a little tip that can be relevant for new players watching
absolutely.
and just the casual players that are watching right now.
Yeah, if you ever have to face an E3, just don't.
or not even just an E3, just any tank. When they're in a good position, they're hold down, and you don't know where to pen it, don't take the engagement. There's nothing saying you have to drive into that tank right now and you must kill him because he's lit in front of you. Back out, keep your HP, and find a fight somewhere else.
That's definitely a little frustration coming through from you because I've watched you watch other newer players do that, and you're just like,
just you got to pick your fights. Make sure that if you are going to give up your HP or trade, that you get something out of it. And
that's not even a knock on new players, by the way, because I've done that, and we have to learn. But we've also seen experienced players do that, and you're just like, why? Mm-hmm. Why take the fight when you don't have to? But wow, so Wally Whiff is actually going to bring a mouse this time. This is a tank we've seen again 1 or 2 times here in the Gold League first round robin, but it's a large tank.
Yeah, definitely, and it has a lot of HP.
Similar to the E100, correct?
Similar to the E100. The gun does not hit as hard. The gun is actually the same as the stock gun on the E100. The E100 is one of the few Tier 10s where it does not come with everything unlocked. It actually has the 150 millimeter that you can upgrade onto the 100, and that's the gun that hits for 750. This gun only hits for 400, or I believe it's actually 490. I believe is the alpha. And
how long does it take to reload?
About 11 seconds to reload, so it reloads a good bit faster than the 100. Thing is,
I think, what, 19 seconds?
It's about 16 seconds if you're running vents on it. You have Brothers in Arms on your crew, and you're running rations. I think you can get it down to like 15 and a half, somewhere around there. Now, looking at
also, if you're running like a GLD or something like that as well.
Well, the gun rammer.
Or the gun
rammer,
rammer, yes.
So the gun rammer is the last piece. The GLD affects the aim time.
Correct.
The turret time, yeah. But most players use the vertical stabilizer
I know what those
first.
Are, though.
They use the vertical stabilizers first because you actually, when you're moving your gun doesn't become as inaccurate. So instead of having to zoom in completely, which the GLD does, the vert stab just makes it so you don't zoom out as far when you're adjusting targets. And so it's, the vert stab is just universally preferred over the GLD. Now, the GLD is useful if a gun doesn't have a vert stab, which there are some tanks that don't have vert stabs. So you go for the GLD. Pretty much any tank that's consistent fire, you want to go with a gun rammer. And then the third equipment slot is kind of user preference.
I see a lot of people you take vents, though.
Vents is one of the big ones. 5% to all crew skills, so helps them reload faster, aim faster, all of that sort of thing.
Oh, Magenta Panda. Sorry, while we're talking about all this tech, Magenta Panda in the 215B is going to take quite a bit of damage. And again, this is what we're used to seeing on Himmels. This is pretty much the standard play from both attack and defense.
Yep, absolutely. And to finish off my point, some of the other ones that people use in third slots frequently, coated optics, increase your view range on the move. We'll see a lot on bat chats over events.
Depending on if it's a smaller tank as well, like a Tier 8 light, we'll see camo.
Yep. And there are some other equipment slots that can be useful, but those are more for certain situations where one tank's going to be in a situation. For example, Durgil right now. Knowing that he's side-scraping off that corner and he's going to take a lot of HE shots like this because people are going to give up trying to use regular shells on him, he may put a spall lighter on there. Now, that's completely situational. It's something we only see occasionally, but it could be one of those options. Now, for the most part, you want to stick to kind of those main three because they're the ones that are going to be the most useful throughout a match in any situation you're in, not just one specialty spot. And the tanks where you see say for example, the spall liner come out a lot, especially E100s, we'll see spall liners used a good bit, just because when you're in a pub match or on a bigger, more open map, when there's artillery on the other team, it helps take less damage and less module damage when you're running that spall liner. Same with the mouse and occasionally T110E3, but it's very rarely used, and with reason. It's more, you're going to get more of a benefit from bringing the vert stab, GLD, a gun ram or vents. And a lot of it's user preference. There's always some conversation about it, which is probably the reason why I'm going on about it right now, is because there's often a lot of discussion. But typically, it's universally agreed, vert stab whenever possible. Second, the gun rammer whenever possible. And then the third one's more flexible.
Beautiful little J-turn there with the handbrake by Blue Mini. And he's actually gone all the way around, and he's getting a good bit of information here for the team of High. If he is going to push forward, and he actually is going to push forward, I was going to say it's dangerous, but he's going to be able to spot a few tanks or get even more information so as to potentially give High a flank here on Team Deja Vu.
Yeah, absolutely. And
because normally we see tanks on defense kind of set up a little more around like D4, D3, where they can kind of watch the back, but this is a very frontal-heavy defense from what I can see.
Yep, and this goes back to that same thing that I was actually talking about last match, about the attacking team or the defending team picking one cap to make sure that they have guarded and then having a response for the other one. Now, Deja Vu have set up to kind of defend both with some tanks in between, but they're definitely focused on that 2 cap. They have that 183 and that IS-4 committed. They have this IS-5, the E5 in that window.
Get him, James.
I got that campaign reward tank all over my mind right now, trying to pick which one I'm going to get later this week. But that's another question. Which, let's see that on social media right now. For those that played it in the campaign, which reward tank of the 3 are you going to go with?
Ooh,
so hit me up on Twitter because I still haven't decided. I have the Chieftain already, but IS-5 or the KB-4 tank destroyer. But that's totally random.
Yeah, let us know at WGLNA as well.
Yep. So outside of that, though, the IS-4 is sitting back there at B1. And then the IS-3 is sitting here inside the train station. This is the same spot where we saw the 215B of Magenta Panda last round. He can hold down very easily. Relatively hard shot there. The only spot you can really pen in an IS-3 when it's hold down is that little hatch right on top. Not the match where the crew members get out, but there's a flat plate above the gun that is extremely thin. But as you can see, that is an extremely tight shot at any range. And at that sort of range,
that's a nutty shot to hit.
The RNG just has to be absolutely perfect.
Oh!
Meanwhile, that IS-3 just lines up the perfect shot onto Blue Mini, trying to get onto the cap there and takes him out.
And here's another problem for Team High, aside from just, losing Blue Mini in 1 second. 3 minutes and 20 seconds left on the clock.
Yeah, so running down the clock, and Deja Vu are up on HP by about 2,000. So you got to like their chances to even up the series right now. Wally Whiff sitting here, so side scraping this corner, and Romstar not quite spotted yet.
No, Wally Whiff is going to go ahead and bounce his shot, no problem. Romstar is going to back out so as to not eat a shot coming out of Wally Whiff. But Rom is getting a little ballsy here. He's moving forward, and to be quite honest, they need to because, let's be honest, 2 minutes and 48 seconds, not a lot of time to work with here, James.
No, not at all. They're really... They've wasted a lot of time that they could have been using to make something happen or to get through some of these tanks.
Or just to get some shots off.
Yep, they haven't really done a whole lot to soften it up, and they still have a pretty hard task in front of them.
Meanwhile, Chase Potato and Ali, the Persian dude, actually going to a little duel here. And he's been finding shots on Chase Potato in that IS-3. Very impressive from Ali, the Persian dude.
Yeah, and they've pushed Ali, the Persian dude, onto cap there, and he's trying to be the cap pressure, however.
So they're actually shifting, and they're not even going for that 2 cap at all. Maybe it was a fake all along. Maybe this is a decision they made just knowing that they didn't have a lot of time left. But either way, Fulcrus in that 4005 is slowly trying to get some kind of a flank going here, as I think Dergil knows this is going to happen. He is going to take a shot onto Fulcrus.
This round could come
but
down
Ali,
to
the
Ali,
Persian
the
dude, is
Persian
still
dude.
dueling with Chase, and he's going to lose that engagement.
And that may have just lost this round for for
High.
excuse
Yeah,
me.
absolutely. Romstar now and DRS and Feel My Potato are, well, Feel My Potato is watching the back, but Romstar definitely pushing up with DRS, and that IS-7, unfortunately, is going to be taking shots
and this is
over from his right.
This is essentially the only thing that Wally Whiff in that mouse is good for. Is he's just an HP pinata. He can sit here and hold this corner and be extremely hard to kill, and he's going to slow this down and allow his team the time to rotate into position and support him. Meanwhile, a square off of these massive tank destroyers sitting here. However, the Magenta Panda coming in, and he gets taken out.
This is a very dire situation
now
now for Team High.
Fulcrus shoots the wall!
No!
How? How do you miss that shot? You know the 183 just fired. There is no reason to rush that shot.
It was already a pretty grim situation for Team High, but I'm pretty sure that just sealed the deal.
That's the second time. That's the exact corner that my little Putin got caught on the round before. So that little corner just deciding
we need to name that corner something.
Yeah, just messing with both of these teams.
Fail City, maybe?
Yeah.
On the quarter of fail in third. Though, but we definitely need something there. As that's a fail. It's a very unfortunate fail that we had there, and from both teams, by the way.
Yeah, that's a trade that they would have expected to make, and they were still, they're fine trading it. You know, he takes out the 215B, and he's going to go down to the 4005. You just kind of assume, but they had enough guns up alive that they're fine with that. All right, we can come in. We know that he just fired, so we'll kill him after that. It's it's a fair trade.
Right.
However, he didn't even get the trade off. He didn't get the shot off.
He did not.
Well, he got the shot off. He just didn't connect.
Well, I mean, I would count that as not even getting the shot off.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of lag there as he came around the corner.
I don't know, but either way, I mean, that was a full blindside miss.
Yeah, maybe not running the server side reticle. It told him that he was aimed on the tank, but the server hadn't caught up to him, and the result is putting it on the fence. Now, that being said, he didn't take that extra second, let it aim in. Kind of risky there. Looking at it, IS-4s for Deja Vu doing a lot of work. 3,000 out of the first one, and Harmless down there doing 2,100. And Malaputin in that 183, firing 5 shots, only doing 2,500, which, probably missed 1 or 2 in there. But he did manage to, get off some damage. And once again, the defense just had to sit there and hold. There was no real situation where they were kind of stressed out or under pressure, and they just made it work.
Absolutely, and Blue Mini, I mean, in that 1390, mostly scouting again, we don't expect huge numbers out of those Tier 8 light scouts, but he got just obliterated.
Yeah, no, just got deleted off that hill before he could get out of there.
And that was, of course, I believe it was the E3 of Nationwide that did that to him.
Yeah. So, And the thing to look at there is it just kind of...
Actually, no, excuse me. It was Chase Potato in the IS-3. That's who it was.
Yeah. So I tried to get on cap there. He peeked out and got taken out. And my biggest comment there is, once again, that's why that one cap is so hard to attack, is that they had to use two tanks.
And you also have the train station is really... It has really good hold-down spots.
It's a good hold-down, and then same with the oil barrels out where the IS-4 was. They basically take away all of the angles where you can hide anything behind that building from just having two tanks out there, and the rest of the guns are in a position where they can really quickly rotate out there and defend them. And so that's why they stacked that north cap.
Yeah, and again, that's why we don't really see many takes on the one cap. I mean, we just saw Deja Vu try it, and they lost.
Now, if the funny thing to think about is if High had ran their own defense own offense against that very same defense they ran. Having that 4005 down there, a couple shots, and he could have maybe dug that IS-3 out. And so maybe that's, sometimes what a lot of callers do is they sit there, all right, how am I going to defend this map? What's the strongest defense that I can come up with in my head? And so they draw it out, and then they go for their attack. How do I break it? And so they sit there and they go, all right, well, I would do this and this. And so that's maybe how they get those ideas for some of the strats on either side.
Absolutely. Well, we'll have to see how both teams adjust now as it's tied 2-2 as we head into the third map between High and Deja Vu.
Mines, a small summertime map with lots of hills, rocks and other cover. The teams start the battle in the usual locations, but the base locations are different. One is located in the bottom part of the village and the other one is in the water. One of the key objectives is the center hill. That's why the teams will often select fast vehicles and tanks with strong turrets for cover.
Battle number 5 as we head into Mines, a map that we've seen a lot of different strategies. Speaking of which, one coming out of Deja Vu is going to be 4 bat shots and a TVP. That's 5 autoloaders, including an Artie in the M4043, and then rounding it out in that very heavy E100.
Yeah, E100 I expect to see just go right to where he is going right now underneath that hill.
This is not a lot. This is a different lineup I've seen, I think, at all for this map, let alone all maps, but Mines in particular. This is a very strange.
Yeah, both teams deciding to go with the M4043, excuse me, and looking at it, High bringing 2 113s, 3 bat shots, a TVP, and then the artillery. So they have the 113s and the artillery.
Oh my goodness!
Counter battery before he even got a shot to fire.
Chase Potato, good night! What a shot from Fulcris, please.
So that was something.
Can I get an instant replay? I know we're not, but that was so ridiculously well placed by Fulcris.
I haven't even seen Chase Potato fire that round, so predicting that that's where the artillery is going to sit and taking the blind fire, and that's something that I actually saw during the Silver League monthly finals or quarterfinals last night.
If I were Chase Potato right now, I would throw my monitor out the window.
That's almost identical to what I saw last night. And the fact that I just see it happen again, the exact same position, just getting counter battery before he'd even fired, is just ridiculous.
Honestly, I also want to know if Chase Potato maybe jumps or he got scared because that happened so fast.
Oh, especially with him not firing, like he's sitting there and all of a sudden just gets deleted. It's just like, my game's over.
Fulcris is probably just feeling himself right now.
Oh yeah, he's going to be jazzed up, and now he's going to go ahead and start rotating over to the one
line. That's huge.
Line.
That's also, you have to remember, Artie necessarily isn't even really there to do like crazy amounts of damage or take tanks out in one shot. It's the threat that it's there. That's what's most dangerous and why a lot of these teams bring Artie on maps like Mines or more open maps like Steps, so on and so forth.
And it can sit there and it can just keep firing and really just chip away and make it so they don't have as much HP to play with. And looking at this defense from Deja Vu right now, they're sitting here in a nice, comfortable position. The bat chat over at H1 has vision down the one line, so if they want to rotate over there and push out there, they have that. They have My Little Putin climbed up onto the hill over there at J0, so they have some eyes towards that 0 line and also towards the hill. And then the E100 tucked in right underneath it to just constantly get the prox lights on that 113 or anything else that pops up on the hill. Now, the downside is they don't have any artillery to really punish that 113. So even if they light him, all they gain is just the information that he is there. And that I guarantee you they won't move anything else closer to that E100 just so they can keep their tanks hidden and keep it a mystery for Deja Vu.
Well, I'm still reeling from that shot. I mean, to be fair, well, wait a second here. We're getting a message from beyond the line. Do not cross.
Yep, so
Those are beautiful. That looks like donut cross. The donut cross. That is now what that line is going to be called.
Cheeky observing coming out there
Yeah.
from
all
one of our
right, Randall.
favorite observers.
We love you, Randall. Rue, no big.
Yep. Meanwhile,
It's hard to tell straight and type, let me tell you.
no kidding. And Deja Vu, and outside of having their artillery down, they're in a relatively good position. They haven't taken any damage outside of that artillery being deleted. 4 minutes into this round, one shot goes out there from the artillery, does not connect with anything.
All right, looks like we're going to see the solo climb here from the bat chat of, I believe, Ali the Persian dude. If he was able to make it there somewhere on the map. Yep, he is going to make it, and he's definitely going to be crossing that donut line as he's now all the way at H0 on that climb.
Yep, and he's going to sit here and try to find some shots on Dergel. Maybe
On really anyone that he can see.
Yeah, and Milo Putin is boosted up there on that first part of the boost, so he will have some shots if they know that he is here. However, I don't believe either the Persian dude has actually been spotted yet.
And Ali the Persian dude taking a few shots here. Unfortunately, putting him straight into the hillside in front of him.
Gotta make sure that dirt's dead,
I guess so. So, unfortunately, for the most part, wasting his clip, just getting one solid shot off onto Dergel there, and he's going to have to drop the clip, or I believe he fired every shot out of it.
Yep, and it looks
And
like
really not getting his the bang for his buck, if you will, of that clip.
and it looks like High are actually trying to reposition now. They're shifting their artillery out. They're pulling one of the bat jets out of the one line. And it's actually going to be Blue Mini that comes over here and gets behind Fulcrus, I'm going to take a guess, and start pushing him, trying to shift him over towards the zero line.
Yeah, most Artie, they're not very fast. Unless you're in the Batchat 155
Or any
the
of the
Lorraine.
Any of the French
Yeah,
Artie.
any of the French Artie SPGs. Those are the only ones that can, I guess you could say, move.
The 261 does have a little bit of speed to it, but the rest of the Russian artillery are very slow. The M53, 55 for the Americans can move a little bit, but the T92 and then this M40, 43 obviously not going to break any land speed records.
They're, 0 to 60 times are about 19 seconds, which is awful if you're a car guy. It's horrendous, actually. To be honest, as we further go into this little joke of ours, I don't even think the M40, 43 can reach 60 miles an hour.
No, I think it's
Downhill, maybe dry.
I think
not
its
wet.
speed limit comes in at around 40, but I would have to double check on that.
Maybe put some nice tires on it and it'd be able to roll a little faster. I don't know.
My biggest critique here of High is look at how much time has gone by.
3 minutes and 40 seconds. High still, although they are in that one tank advantage, even though it was the SPG, the M40-43 of Chase Potato. I mean, they still have not really done anything.
But just look at it. It's 7 minutes gone, and all they've essentially accomplished is they got the counter battery on that artillery before he even fired. So
and then
good
they pushed that artillery.
But they took so long to do anything
nice
else.
shot on the DRS there. Taking quite a bit of HP loss as he's now down a little bit below half.
So a good read coming out of Deja Vu. They pushed up the one line because they knew the tanks were there.
Again,
however,
we see. I'm sorry to interrupt, but these bat chats are bouncing shots. It's ridiculous.
yeah, they have no armor, and Blue Mini's just going to drive right by here and head to the buildings.
He's going to ignore Wally with. Oh, nope, just kidding.
He's going to get in a situation where he knows he can out-trade him. He can take the shot from Wally right now.
He's not being crossfired by everyone else.
Exactly. He's safe there. So instead of trying to shoot him in the open.
Yep. Nationwide pushing forward. Now Romstar taking a little bit of damage. And he's trying to get as much mileage as he can before he goes down. And Nationwide is going to take out Romstar. But meanwhile, all the way in the back here, we see Ali the Persian dude chasing My Little Putin. And he should be able to take him out here. And so far, High, although waiting quite a bit, still 2 minutes and 25 seconds to work with, they are at the advantage quite hugely as Feel My Potato is about to go down.
Very decisive push from them out of that on that 9-0, being able to pick up Wally, who was pretty much isolated, and then just move tank on tank after that. So pretty good job there, and they should be able to clean this up.
Well, the problem is, though, you have to realize his Fulcrus is in an M40-43, so he's not a tank that really is in any position to help out should High lose one more tank, so it's still very possible.
However, he is going to drive over to the one cap and start some cap pressure for High. So, doing what he can to be useful. However, Dergel is just getting...
And he is still reloading. Unfortunately, Ali the Persian dude is going to take him out. So now I would say High is in a very great situation to win this, although they may need to think about taking out these last 2 tanks of Deja Vu quickly, because with 1:35 left, although they're not going to get any, potential resets, it's still going to be dangerously close.
You love throwing that one in there.
To be honest, I do, but at the same time, it's just a really good way of describing things in this game, because sometimes it is very dangerous for both teams and it's very close.
So Magenta Panda trying
It just so
to
happens
rotate.
that you didn't make it out of silver with the team of Danger Close. Look, I'm just stating facts. I'm not throwing any shade your way. You know that.
Meanwhile, Ali the Persian dude coming over here trying to find Social Flaws. However, Social Flaws is out. He's going to go for the ram.
Oh,
and
no,
he
stops.
No, Ali the Persian dude got the
track.
track.
And he bounces?
And now Social Flaws is out.
No, what is this?
Magenta Panda.
These
kill
bat
shot.
shots, man, I'm telling you, there was a stealth buff in there, man. They have armor. It's real. The bounces, they're coming all over the place. We've seen more bounces this season than I think you've told me you've ever seen in your life.
It just, when they're driving that fast and they're suddenly changing those angles, there are certain angles which are called
We've
auto
seen
bounce.
bounces on stationary bat shots, though.
Yep.
So I don't know.
It's just when they poke out, and when a tank turns to its side far enough, if you shoot, say, the one angle that you no longer have the good shot on, the armor becomes thicker and thicker the further and further it turns. It's just math. You take a board and you start turning it to the side. All of a sudden, the angle to go through it becomes
Slightly thicker.
Yeah, it becomes thicker. And so when the bat shot's at some of these just extreme angles, it hits what's called the auto bounce angle, where it's just the shell isn't going to connect in a way where it'll do even stand a chance of penetrating, and it just bounces off. And these bat shots just angled so that when they're driving at a fast speed and the shell hits a certain surface, they just bounce off, and it's just getting ridiculous.
And it is getting a little ridiculous. So looking at the damage, Ali the Persian dude was actually rather ridiculous, topping it off at 5,200 damage. It's been very rare this entire season we've seen anyone over 5K.
Oh, absolutely, and just an insane amount of damage.
Yeah,
there.
but I mean, the reason being is he kind of stole most of the damage from his team. As we noticed, most of Team High is actually on the bottom. The next closest player was Blue Mini and Abasha doing 1,500. Meanwhile, Social Flaws doing 3K for his team, and then again, somewhat of the same story. Deja Vu kind of dropping off, Harmless the next closest with 1,900, and then it drops off from there. So Ali the Persian dude, again, he's a player that we definitely see usually on the top of Alpha as far as damage done at the end of a battle, but he kind of slacked off.
5,200 and 3 kills? It's not a bad round.
That's it's definitely not a bad round. And again, I had mentioned earlier in the series how he was at the bottom for, I think, the first 2 battles, which is very uncharacteristic of Ali the Persian dude. He is definitely the damage farmer of Team High.
Yeah, definitely. And he puts up a lot of good points. He was up there on the 0 line where he was able to really find those shots, get the shots on the TVP, help out kill that E100, and just lurking down there, he was just able to constantly
and
get
he
through.
Came down that hill like a bat out of hell, and he charged straight for the tank of, I believe it was Feel My Potato, was it?
Yeah, back there in the corner.
Yeah.
So, overall, good stuff out of High, and they are going to take a lead going into
it's 3-2, and I was actually just going to point out, so you predicted Deja Vu winning 5-3, which is still very possible, by the way. So, but that would mean, for your prediction to become correct, Deja Vu would have to win the next 3 battles uncontested.
Yep. Looking at it, High bringing 3 bat shots, 2 TVPs, an RU-251, and a 113. Meanwhile, Deja Vu coming in here with 2 113s, 3 bat shots, a TVP, and an RU-251 of their own.
Right, and something I've always noticed of the 113s coming into this, never mind, before I even get a thought, a lot of action already happening. Ali the Persian dude taking so much damage. In fact, he should be going down here as he tries to lift Harmless.
But none of these bat shots are loaded yet. Now they're going to get into their clip any second now, and we'll see the trades really come through.
Oh, no, he gets tracked.
And Robstar comes through big with the ram there. Harmless is going to be focused out next.
Yeah, Harmless taking quite a bit of damage. He's trying to play Ring Around the Rock here with Romstar and Fulcris. And he's actually going to take out Romstar. Very nice. Unfortunately, though, Fulcris does have a clip to work with here. As Feel My Potato is now dueling with Wally With and Social Flaws as well as Dergil.
Just trades going back and forth. Deja Vu looking good to pick up this round. Harmless dropping his clip and rotating off the hill right now.
That was a lot of death very quickly.
Yeah, this is the mines that I've told you about.
Yeah, this is
from a long time ago.
Exactly, and we've seen this and we've not seen this. Mines has been probably the most dynamic map, I would say, of the season, where it's been played two completely different ways by every single team so far.
Yep, some very passive defenses, some very high-octane defenses
and
like
something I was
this.
going to notice is with those 113s, what we usually see is a team will bring either 2 or 3 of those, and they'll put them straight on the two cap at the start. But we didn't even get that chance. Blue Mini getting a tank down, but he should be going down in just a moment. But all those shots are missing. That is a very low-profile tank. Meanwhile, Wally says, I don't even care. 113 comes around and takes out that little 251. DRS is going to be going down here in just a moment as Wally and Social have shots set up, and it's now just down to Fulcrus, who has absolutely zero chance of defending against 4 tanks. So Deja Vu tying it up insanely fast, 3-3, which I might add, if this game does go into overtime, would mean that Deja Vu, unless High can take out the other team faster, is going to get the pick on which side they're going to go on overtime if we make it there.
Yep. So tiebreaker going to the fastest attacking win. So that could come into play here down the road. However, that being said, trying to find...
Again, bounces everywhere, James.
Well, even some HE coming out of Social Flaws there onto Fulcrus, trying to get the pen.
It's ridiculous.
And they tie it up, 3-3.
They do tie it up. That was very fast lines. That's what you told me to expect, and that's what I've seen, honestly, in some of the VODs of last season I was watching the season past. It's been a very, very quick map, almost Cliff-esque, if you will.
High voltage in the early days of Attack Defend back in 754, they kind of sat down and they said, Mines is going to be our map, and we're going to just know every single angle about it. And watching them play, even on defense, was
Did they even lose on that map ever?
They lost a couple of rounds, but for the most part,
very rarely.
Yeah. They were very impressive to watch.
Just to take a moment, I know it's not really about them because the team doesn't exist, but man, watching a lot of the VODs, I was very disappointed at what happened to High Voltage, simply because those dudes have been together so long from what I've seen, and there were a lot of really good players on High Voltage.
Oh, yeah, and they go back to the old
It's very
Simp
unfortunate
days.
that they're gone, yeah.
Yeah, and that team kind of started to fall apart season after. Well, not fall apart, but they started to lose some of the core players in there. Heavy 20 retired season before last, so he was a big loss for them. And then just bringing in new players that didn't quite gel with them, and, it just kind of happens over time.
It's not about that, but I just wanted to give High Voltage a quick shout out because it is unfortunate to see a team like that.
Yeah, looking at the damage here, Wally Whip in the 113, 3,500 damage. Meanwhile, Fulcrus in the bat chat also doing it 3,500. And then Social and Durgel coming up there. And finishing off the top page, DRS in that bat chat coming 1,200, almost 1,300. And that's one of those things I love to watch, though, is being in this Mines battle when all the bat chats are up on the hill. None of them are even loaded when they're there.
No.
They're sitting there point blank
They're
with
just
another.
getting there.
Just waiting there, pounding their mouse. Go on, let me fire. Just trying to get through there. And eventually, the clips come through. And that's where those TVPs come in handy, is they reload in 20 seconds.
Right,
so, if you
so
notice,
they're going to have a clip. They're going to be doing the damage.
And Romstar, got in there. He put off the first clip, and then he got the ram kill on, I think it was Nationwide? I can't remember.
I think so.
He got off that early ram and got killed out before he was even loaded. So, and that's what I said. Those TVPs have really kind of changed how that map in general was played. And
interesting. So, I'm not going to spoil the next map, but if we do go to an overtime between these two teams, it's going to be High versus Deja Vu. Overtime is going to be a brawl because it's going to be on Cliff.
Yeah, that should be fun.
Yeah.
But first, we're going to have Murovanka up next. Which,
I was trying to not spoil that.
No, but I'll spoil it. I like
Wow.
the Killjoy. Ruin your fun. So, now, the other thing to keep in mind here is we've seen some very interesting strats from Murovanka lately, and maybe Deja Vu deciding to come out and copy Eclipse, bringing that Crusader SP. We'll have to see if we see that come up.
So disappointed. I wonder what map we're going to head into for this 7th battle, James. Oh, wait, it's Murovanka.
Murovanka, a map with a great number of buildings, bushes and trees, amongst which teams hide for most of the battle. The attacking team begins the battle from the top of the village, and the defenders start from the bottom of the map. Both bases are better controlled from the hill near the first base, and from the green in the lower left corner of the map. There are many attack directions. The attacking team often attempts to gain the attention of defenders by putting pressure on the first base, whilst manoeuvring several tanks behind the second base to deliver fire into the defending's flank. Team setups are very diverse, but the players often choose the fastest tanks, even for heavy setups. They could even bring SPGs.
Battle number 7.
Yep, and going over the lineups here, High bringing 4 bat chats, an E5, a T57, and a 1390. Meanwhile, Deja Vu coming in with 3 bat chats of their own, 2 T125s, an Object 140.
I like the 2 125s from them.
And High doing something pretty similar, except they opt
So
for
this
the
is,
T-57.
to interrupt real quick, this is the map with, of course, the Magical Forest and the Unicorn Massacre of 73, correct?
Yep, as we talked about before. The Magical Forest, as it got the name through the community back before they changed it, these whole dunes that we're looking at right now are all new. It used to be just completely flat, and it used to be just nothing but trees on trees on trees, and how those trees affect
stacks, baby, you know what I'm saying?
and how those trees affected both the spotting and camo values of all the tanks. You could basically have a tank just appear in front of you out of nowhere.
Yeah, watching again some of the old VODs, some people got very surprised, I believe.
Yeah, this didn't become a league map until after they changed the forest around. But back in pub matches a long time ago, map was just so completely
because
different.
when I asked you about this, you showed me some of the old VODs of just I don't think it was you, but some players just playing on this map, so I could see what it was like. And yeah, tanks would come out just out of nowhere, and I'm really glad this actually wasn't in league at the time because that would have been a mess.
Yeah, no, it's just crazy to think about. And look at the defense here. High just running a very, I don't want to call it standard defense, but pretty close to it. And the thing to keep an eye on here is they actually have 2 tanks passive. They have the Batchat at H5 and the 1390 over at Juliet, or J6, excuse me. And then they have 1 Batchat down in the south covering them, T57 covering them. So maybe trying to play
actually,
some...
Yeah, this is a very interesting setup here.
Maybe trying to play some mind games, having those tanks in different angles, even if one gets spotted. Just think about it. So a team's going to expect 1 tank to be passive right now and be in the tank lighting them. So even if they manage to find one of the 2, so say they find the 1390 in the more obvious bush, they're hoping that the other team's going to assume, all right, well, they don't have any more passive scouts, so we can start pushing in and get cap pressure. Well, surprise, there's another tank sitting here passive, and they're still lit, and they're going to be confused. They're going to be going, well, we killed the passive. Why are we still getting spotted? And so, just maybe playing that next level mind game here with Deja Vu.
I don't know, but again, like you said, the 1390 and then the Batchat right behind. So, I like. See, here's the thing, though, James. I like when teams. It's not really like a huge risk, but I like when they do something that's a little out of the box.
Yeah, and so being creative. Both these teams have shown us some really creative strats so far. Deja Vu, I think, definitely wins the creative category so far this season, especially during that Apex match. However, we've seen some rather ingenious stuff, and you can see just from the laser pointers here where all the guns from Deja Vu are looking. They're obviously trying to hit one of these bushes in the south, trying to figure out where the passive scouts are, and so not quite sure.
It's a very dense map.
Yep, and so it's extremely hard, and there's so many random bushes that you could choose to sit here and scout from, in the 1390 being a light tank, especially if it has a camo net on it, which is what I'm going to check right now, actually. Let's find out. Looking at it, yeah, he's running a camo net and binoculars and vets, so he's going to be extremely
so he's built
hard.
to annoy.
He is built to not be spotted. That is his sole purpose, is just sit here in this random bush and just light tanks. And with the binocs bringing the 25% view range bonus while sitting stationary, the camo net's going to make it even harder for him to be spotted. Right. And then the vents will go to the crews, give them the 5% bonus to all their abilities.
Something random I just thought of, in one of the older VODs you were showing me of just, again, like pub matches of this because it wasn't a league map. I think I saw like 2 tanks just run into each other at the Magical Forest. How nutty would that be if that happened in actual competitive play? And you're just like, oh, surprise, there's an IS-7 in front of me.
Yeah, there have been some odd clips that have popped up around Reddit and some other communities.
Yeah, I think that's where I saw it.
Just randomly appearing or just disappearing.
Or just like being on top of you, like, wait, what?
And it just has to do with the angles that they're sitting at. Are they within that 50-meter prox range? And
I got to say, though, I mean, Board Gaming did a fantastic job of transforming that area and, again, really making this a competitive league map. So huge kudos to them.
Yeah, definitely. And if I had any complaints about how the map is set up right now, just from a spectator standpoint, it's set up to where we can get some of these slow matches like this because there is no real easy way to get cap pressure on the 2, and the 1 cap is relatively easy to defend. So, maybe try to find some balance there, either move the 2 cap a little bit further to the east or, add some cover on there.
To be fair, though,
make it a little bit more open.
And I get exactly what you're saying, but at the same time, we've seen a lot of interesting strategies being developed because of the way, as far as the place of the 2 and the 1 cap have been. And something you told me is we never really see teams go for the 1 cap. And in fact,
We saw it a lot before.
We've been seeing it a lot this season.
Yeah, we saw it a lot before the seasons past. However, once teams kind of figured out exactly how to defend it every single time, they found out the angles where you can get the resets. It's kind of been one of the lesser used options. But meanwhile, they are going to push these E5s onto cap, and they only have the single 140 covering it. And what they're trying to do right now is they've left all these Batchats over in the forest. So if the common rotation comes out from high and they shift their tanks over through the 6-7 line and they get into the village there and they try to find side shots on those E5s, those Batchats and RE-251 are in a much better position to ambush. And that looks exactly like what they're going to do. The Batchat and the 1390 are going to shift out of the south, and this could be the perfect trap for high.
Yeah, and those two Batchats, as we see Rue here explaining, are going to be going somewhere towards the 6 line, but they're going to run into the other Batchats of Deja Vu, so that might be a little bit of a brawl there.
Yep, and actually, they're actually not even going to sit there and wait for the trap to come out.
They're going to retreat all the way back to the 1 line. Never mind.
Yep. Now the thing is, Blue does get caught out. That 1390.
Go hide. Run away. Ooh, there's a shot zips by him. He's going to get away potentially and go back until he's no longer lit, but he's still taking shots. A kill on Blue Mini wouldn't be huge, but it would definitely help.
Yeah, meanwhile, Deja Vu's going to put those E5s back onto cap. Wally Whiff taking some damage there. And they're rotating some tanks through the south here. Just trying to regroup, realizing that they didn't know where all the guns were, and wondering if Deja Vu were running that trap. And luckily for them, they didn't push into it. And they're still not really in any pressure. They only have 3 minutes left on the cap where they have to defend, and Deja Vu needs to make some sort of play here. They are up by about 1,700 on HP. So they're in a relatively good position right now as far as the defense goes.
We've definitely seen teams on attack in much worse positions. So Deja Vu doing well for themselves, although they've taken a little bit of damage. Social Flaw is actually taking the most damage as he's dipped below half HP at this point.
And Ali the Persian dude pushing up into the village over here, taking some shots, but not penetrating, just fizzing out on the tracks. That's the downside to, once again, running those heat shells.
And only 2 minutes left, about 2 minutes, 25 seconds left on the clock, but 50 seconds. Oh, no.
Cap gets reset, and once again...
This is when crunch time starts happening for Deja Vu. They need to make something happen. The time on the clock is running out, and they are getting close. I was going to say
the time right now favors a high. They are in a good defensive position. There's no cap pressure. There's only 2 minutes left, and they have most of their HP still.
Sorry, I was going to say it again. When I said they're getting close, it just pops into my head every time. My Little Putin taking a little bit of damage as well, trying to inflict a shot. Not going to inflict any damage himself, unfortunately. But I believe that was full Romstar or Fullcrest taking a little bit of damage, and Ali the Persian dude should be going down here in just a second. Wait, Fullcrest taking quite a bit of damage now.
They are going to find the kill onto Fullcrest and Ali the Persian dude here pretty soon.
Yeah, not before Nationwide actually finds a kill. Romstar getting a trade as well as Wally Whiff on Fullcrest. There it finally is, and now Feel My Potato is trying to get some shots off in that Batchat before he has to drop his clip and reload. Dergil might make it over that hill alive, and he is going to make it over to the hill alive.
And now here's the thing: is Deja Vu need to figure out what they're going to do. They need to go for the kills, or they need to get cap pressure going. They have the advantage.
Exactly. They need to figure out what they're going to do, because if they don't, this could very quickly go in in favor of Team High, as there's only a minute left.
However, the problem is the Batchats are getting away in the south here, and they don't have any cap pressure with only a minute on the clock.
None whatsoever. And finally, Chase, realizing that, goes onto the cap. They're going to need to stack all 3 tanks if they want any chance of winning here. 53 seconds left.
And it is looking good for Deja Vu. They do have that cap pressure now.
And there it is, 31 seconds. They have 3 tanks finally on cap, which means all the pressure is going to be there unless something miraculous can happen here for Team High, unless this Batchat here of Magenta Panda can somehow make it over. Feel My Potato now. It's down to Feel My Potato.
Squarely going to be on the shoulders of Feel My Potato.
He's got to get the shot off. He has to get the shot off, and DRS has to make sure.
One good reset could secure this round. He takes 1 shot of damage. He's going to sit here. He has 6 seconds. He's going to back up. Shot's going to miss, but he doesn't get the shot off. My Little Putin cleans it up.
No chance. What a beautiful play from Deja Vu. What a risk taken by Feel My Potato. He had to take it. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to get the shot. And just like that, It is now 4-3 in favor of Team Okay, so all right. Look, don't look at me like that because High still has one more potential match here.
Doubting my predictions. I see how it is.
Damn. Well, I mean, you have been wrong most of the time. To be
Most of the time, very rarely.
Whoa.
Name the last time that I was wrong.
I don't pay attention to you that much, so I can't. But I know you haven't been right all the time.
Ouch. Ouch, ouch, ouch.
Anyways, Team Deja Vu, fantastic job there. And you were right. They were a little confused as to what they were going to do. They were kind of hovering around killing all the tanks. Very quickly, Chase Potato realized that they didn't have time to do that, specifically because the bat chat of, I forget who it was left. I think it was Magenta, who was very much in the it was DRS. Was very much in the back, and they probably weren't going to catch him in the minute left, so they immediately went Chase starting the cap pressure, and then it was just, I don't know, it was a scramble all over the place, James.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And something to keep an eye on here is we have one more round left on this, and it's going to be High that have to attack. So
correct.
Deja Vu gets to defend right now, and I would have to say this is more often than not a defensively sided map. Now, however, it is Deja Vu that did come out with the win on attack here.
But we have seen, as far as history shows us, of this league, we've definitely seen defense win more often than not.
Yeah, it's a very hard map to attack, so
Yes.
High are definitely going to have their back up against the wall. And looking down here, Dergel and Blue both getting caught out there at the bottom, as does Chase Potato in that RU-251. But, not the end of the world. The bat chat only doing 0 damage, though, is a little bit alarming in my book. And Nationwide only coming in with 2,900, so not really the most effective use of the bat chats.
And a lot of the tanks of Deja Vu were literally within a couple shots of being taken out. That could have been Dergel right there. That was the deciding factor in getting those shots in and putting the alpha up. So it's or excuse me, not Dergel. Feel my potato.
Yep.
Excuse me.
So I do gotta say, I like the strat there out of Deja Vu. I like the idea. However, High had a very good read on it. They understood, all right, we don't know where all these tanks are, so this could be a trap. So let's not, get too aggressive too early.
Yeah, because they could have fallen into that.
Yeah, they could have, and that would have been game over from that point on.
Correct.
However, they did make Deja Vu work for it. They slowed it down. They said, all right, we don't need to make this push, and they did a pretty good job for the most part. But they were able to scare off most of those tanks in there, get a couple kills, and make sure that they could get the cap unintruded. The biggest thing there is that game was on a knife edge right then with Feel My Potato coming in.
It
If
really
he had
was.
landed that reset, that game would have been over.
He tried. I mean,
Yeah.
the guy tried so
But,
desperately.
Great. My little Putin was in position there to block, got the light, put a shot into him. Then he poked out from behind that building. He didn't have enough time to wait to get delit.
No,
so
he had to
poke.
just. Yeah, it was a very tough situation to find him in. But we are now going to head into battle number 8, potentially the last battle of the night in this series between Deja Vu and High. As your cheeky prediction states, it's 4-3 in favor of Deja Vu, and your end game was 5-3 Deja Vu. So it's very possible that you were 100% correct here.
And like I also alluded to before the last battle started, Chase Potato bringing the
Feeling
Crusader,
yourself now.
Crusader SP, real cheeky play here. We've seen this a couple times. I actually saw this during the EU broadcast as well last week. I think it was Gohard was bringing the same Crusader SP.
Look at this teamwork, though, real quick, of the T-57 having there pushing the E-100. The E-100 is also a disgustingly slow tank.
Now, and I do like the read here out of Deja Vu, however, it is very risky. They looked at the lineup from High, which is an E100, 257, an I-7, an STB, a VAT Chat, and a 1390. So when you look at that lineup, it's not a lot of flexibility out of High, which should indicate they're going to go make a cap or a play for the one cap. Use that I-7 on the corner there, use the E100 either to punish that corner's tanks pop around,
Unfortunately, though,
or as a shield.
Look at how much ground High has given up to Deja Vu, as we now see all 3 of those bat chats of My Little Putin, Nationwide, and Harmless. Excuse me, there's an Object 430 in the mix, but even still, that's so much control of the map just given up by Team High.
Yeah, and so the IS-7 is going to sit here on cap and start building up that cap pressure. The Crusader SP just trying to hit that E100 and get some resets there. And Deja Vu just making sure they have control of the 6-7 line. They know that they can push through it relatively easily and not be at any risk of being caught out.
This is going to be very interesting very quickly here. A lot is about to happen And Chase Potato, again, just getting these little reset shots over on DRS. As Romstar is getting shots on him by My Little Putin and Harmless, but again, the armor on the E100 is great.
Yep, and the Crusader SP actually not getting enough splash to really reset anything. A bounce coming off the front of the i7 there.
15 seconds just about here. Up, gets reset back. But again, 15 seconds, so pressure is definitely starting to mount on Deja Vu as they're starting to take a little bit of damage nationwide. Going to take some shots, 18 seconds. They're getting resets, but this is still very, very close.
But there's one really important thing that they are missing right now, and that is Blue Mini. If you look on the mini-map there, he's on the corner sitting there in a bush, and he does get reset, so they actually figure it out. I was gonna avoid saying this word tonight because I said it way too many times last broadcast, but a really cheeky play there out of Blue Mini, just sitting in the bush on the corner cap, hoping to not get reset. However, they did figure it out eventually, and right now Deja Vu are in a very good situation.
And here it is, the all-out brawl that we're seeing. Ali the Persian dude is going to take out a tank and then immediately get taken out himself. He took out Nationwide in the bat chat. Unfortunately, going down himself. Now damage coming out onto the E100 of Romstar, though he is relatively safe. That IS-7 is pushing forward. Meanwhile, My Little Putin takes out Magenta Panda, Batchat to Batchat. And Harmless now is in danger of being taken out. But wait a second, no! He's going to take out Blue Midi immediately. DRS coming around the corner, going for a ram as well as a shot. He's going to take out Harmless. But this is desperately in favor of Deja Vu as High needs to climb back in there somehow if they can. It's not going to look like they're going to be able to do so. They are down so many tanks. Feline Potato is one shot away from death. And still very healthy tanks on the side of Deja Vu.
So good understanding there of where the resets are. They figured out that there was 3 on cap, and when they figured out, all right, well, there's 2 right here, and we don't see the third, they were poking around, and the artillery should have gotten the reset. And eventually they figured out, well, maybe he's not there. Where else could he be? And then they realized, hey, we haven't seen the 1390. Hey, there's a bush on this corner cap, so let's try blind firing that. And Chase Potato put a shot there in the Crusader SP,
right,
and got the reset.
That could have been a bad situation. High actually could have run away with this.
Deja Vu was very close from not recognizing that